Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to John. I think, have we got you?
Hello, Dan.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm great, my man. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. Not bad. Good to have you here with us.
Thank you. I'm dialing in from my office in France today. So I'm doing some work at our European place. So this is very super cool. And I caught the end of the last webinar as well. Excellent work and credit to the apprentices. They're doing a really good job.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Anyway, I'm not gonna take up much more of your time, but I'll hand over to you. You know how it works, so you can share the screen when you're ready.
Hi guys, so my name's John Eno. I'm the CEO of a company called Hot House Music Schools, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, tell you a bit about my company, our ethos as a company. I'm going to spend a little bit of time about how we feel habit is the curse of creativity and how creativity is really important for when we want you to be a flexible employee. I'm also going to try and give you lots of takeaways and things that you can, good mantras that you can apply to your own business. Before I finish the session, I'm going to put all the links into the chat box for my LinkedIn, the company's LinkedIn page, Twitter, Insta, YouTube. If you guys want to subscribe, follow, add me on LinkedIn. I can't echo what Dan says more, but it's the best environment for you to possibly be in. So jump in and drop me a message as we go on. So who am I? My name's John. I recently got a British Empire Medal for services to education. I got that from the Queen last year. And I've been working in music ever since I left school. I started in a place called Ripley in the East Midlands. It's the back end of nowhere, not particularly good. The school I went to was particularly average. And actually I ended up being pushed into a university choice at the University of Huddersfield without taking much responsibility for my own decisions. I was told by the teachers at my school, yeah, you need to go and do music. And the best place for that is here. I didn't take any ownership of that. I didn't go away, have a look, make my own minds up, see where it was leading on to. I'm all about where's this going to get you? What are you going to be able to bring to a situation? What are you going to be able to take away? So I ended up going to this university at Huddersfield. Now, it's a great uni. I've got nothing wrong with the uni, but it was going through the motions. Now, I went there back in the day when you didn't have to take out loans or grants or anything along those lines. I got it all paid for me. So I really took it as a bit of a DOS out session and had a great time, drank far too much beer, went out far too many times, and basically worked as a gigging musician all the way through my first degree. It kind of dawned upon me whilst I was going through my first degree that I didn't know where I was going. You know, when you're little, people say, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a fireman? Do you want to be a police officer or a lawyer? And for me, that's the wrong question to be asking kids because, you know, you're getting it into your head that actually the only thing you're going to go and do is be a fireman, a policeman, or a lawyer. If somebody had said to me, what do you want to change about the world? What do you want to do? You know, what do you want to affect? How do you want to make the world a better place? That would have opened up a whole bit of thinking in my mind, which would have played a difference with my decisions and my thought processing. So going back to my university, I was always going to be this musician. I was going to go and work in the famous opera houses, classical theatres, and I was getting loads of money. I was doing lots of international tours. I was doing really, really well. I was only 16 and I was getting £600-700 a week from work. And it occurred to me halfway through my degree that this is not what I wanted to do. I wasn't making anybody happy. You know, from my point of view, I wasn't happy. I was driving all hours of the day to play. So I had a look around at what I would do next. And this is where I started taking ownership of my life. And really, since then, it's been a process of refining my own personal mantra about what I want to achieve and the effect, my legacy upon, you know, this small world that we all live upon. So my next step was to actually go from Huddersfield across the M62 to a place called Leeds. And I ended up doing my first postgraduate qualification at Leeds College of Music. Now, bearing in mind, they didn't really have apprenticeships in the same way back then. An apprenticeship for us was just going and working in your spare time, your part-time for a gig. So actually, you know, this was like, how am I going to get to doing what I really want to do? And what I want to do is I want to make people smile. I want to give people a reason to go to work so that they can earn some money, even if it's in a job they don't like, so that at the end of the day, they can go and see something that really makes them feel like they've got a life and they've got a reason to live. So I did a postgraduate diploma in contemporary, popular and jazz music. And that's when I first started realizing that playing on a stage with 40,000 people at a festival, where Leeds Festival, was like the thing that I wanted to do. You know, this was it. I was changing people's lives. So I did my postgraduate at Leeds, had a great time, met some incredible people. And then I decided to go and do a master's over at Cambridge. So I did a master's in music composition because, you know, I was creating all of this content, but I was having to create it every time I went out and played. And really, you know, the key to being successful is duplication. You only want to have to do things once. You know, if you write an email to an employer, you don't want to have to write that email 50 times as you're applying to 50 employers. You only want to do it once, save it, and then alter it. And that's duplication. And in music business, that was about, you know, writing the music down and getting lots of people to buy it from that point onwards. So I had a great time down at Colchester and Cambridge doing my master's. And I realized that, you know, even though I went to a pretty dodgy, rough school, you know, sort of school where they carried screwdrivers and knives in the back pockets, I still managed to do it. I got there and I was, you know, having a great time. I was fortunate enough to be offered a couple of gigs touring the world. So I come from a musical family. You guys won't know who these guys are because, you know, they're quite old and it'd be your parents who know them. But my uncle is a guy called Brian Eno, who's the record producer for U2. And also he played piano in Roxy Music. My other uncle writes all the music for the BBC. My great-grandfather played in Kaiser Wilhelm's Orchestra. Our whole family are musical. And so it was quite easy for me because, you know, networking, to pick up the phone and get gigs touring the world. So I toured the world for a few years, and I really learned some important life lessons, which I'm going to show you and share with you later on at the end of this session. But it did mean that I got to play with a couple of great guys, you know, people that are great to me, Frank Sinatra's rhythm section, guitarists and people like that, when I was working in America. And I remember going to a high school in America, and I did this big event, and there was like something like 28,000 people on a sports field, and they were all cheering my name and they were all cheering the band's name. It was one of those amazing times, 2,000 people signing autographs at the end. And I got this impression from the American education system that it's all about what you can do in the States, not about what you can't do. Now, I don't know whether this rings true with you guys, and you could send some questions into the Q&A if you like. I'm more than happy to answer these at the end. But, you know, when I was growing up at school, teachers always told me, you're not very good at that. You need to work on that. Whether you're not very good at your maths or your English, your science, you need to go and sort that out. It was never about, wow, you're amazing at French. Oh, you need to go and live in France. You're going to be a star. Now, I found when I went to America, completely different. Okay, they was all like, if you were, you know, 7 foot tall, like, you're going to be our basketball dude, or if you could throw a football 1,000,000 miles, you're going to be like our quarterback. And that whole concept of positivity and playing to your strengths, like, opened up this little light bulb moment for me. And I was like, right, I know I love music. I know I love making people smile. What can I do? And at that point, I decided I'm going to set up a company that changes education in the UK. And that's where I find myself now as CEO of Hot House Music. So Hot House Music, it's actually a social enterprise that exists to positively change lives through the power of music. We're actually governed by a CSR, for those of you who do this sort of stuff. It's a corporate social responsibility policy. And we're enshrining our principles about what makes us who we are. So ours are access, nurture, employability, and legacy. So everything that we do, and we basically do 4 things. We do instrumental music lessons, ensembles, recording sessions. I'll tell you more about our record label later. And also we do the international touring program. Everything that we deliver, all of our products, they have to sign up and be part of that CSR. We have to know that we're delivering on our metrics. And we started this back in 2002. And in the past 18 years, we've won something along the lines of 48 international awards for outstanding services to education. I've got a board of non-execs that include the ex-head of Dolby from San Francisco, the chief technical officer for Machine Max, the biggest industrial machine company in the world. So we've got an amazing board, and we are being guided by non-execs, a board of directors, and we're currently going through phase 2 of an expansion program. We've got a mission and a target to reach 124,000 young people every year. And that means we're going to be reaching 1.6% of the school-going population within 7 years. And to do that, I need to make sure that I grow and increase my apprenticeship program, which is why I'm here today talking for Dan. I'm trying to encourage people to be flexible, thoughtful, engaged, and look at us as an opportunity for your career. And if it's not for you, it might be for your friend. Our phase 2 is launching 48 schools around the UK. So if you go on our website, hhmusic.co.uk, you can actually see all of these websites, all of these schools that have now launched around the UK. I'm actually in France at my office in France because we're going to be launching our European headquarters in Lyon, our Asian Peninsula headquarters in Singapore, and hopefully our US North American headquarters in Texas later on next year. I mean, that all depends on COVID and the Corona crisis, but that's our plan. And that's going to be the start of phase 3. And phase 3 for us is making sure that we deliver all of our inspirational education and our ethos, our concepts of education to a truly global market. Now, what was particularly obvious about the Corona crisis is that, if you look around you, literally, there are thousands of companies that are struggling to survive. They're struggling because of the changing business environment. Now, that's not occurred to us. As Hot House, we typically have creative people. We have musicians, artists, creative designers, IT technicians, all of our subcontractors. They're all that kind of mindset that look to problem solving. And it occurred to me that for this session, we perhaps needed to do a little bit of work about, how habit is effectively the curse of creativity. So if you do the same thing every single day, when you get up, you brush your teeth in the same way, you have your breakfast in the same way, you get dressed the same way, you go to work the same way, how on earth are you expected to be able to help change the workplace dynamism, and the direction that it wants to go? So these companies, big companies, EasyJet, Ryanair, that need to be able to pivot are nowadays looking for people who've got that ability not to just fall in routine. Now, we do this with all of our young people right the way through from the age of 5 up to 18. And we've got a phenomenal record. Our alumni, we've got literally 2,500 alumni that are leading the world. The General Counsel for the International Paralympic Committee is one of ours. Dan Miller, CEO of Young Professionals UK, one of ours. We've got sensational alumni. And we believe that's part of the reason, because they are creative, flexible people. So I've got a couple of exercises that I want you to do now with me. And this is just to see whether you guys are falling into that trap of being, into habit rather than being creative people. So we're going to start off with this one, and we're going to do like our hands like this, like little claw hands, okay? We're going to do 8 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. Now, one of the things that we test with our brains in music is whether we can keep count and whether we can change those patterns. If you can really struggle doing this and really struggle to remember the patterns, you're not going to be the sort of guy that's going to help your company evolve and change. So here we're going to clap on number 1, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3. I don't mind if you put some beats on behind this. 7, 8. We're going to change number 2, okay? It's going to be a push. So you're going to push towards the screen. And 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do a clap for number 3. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Something else. Let's have a click for number 4. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is this getting difficult yet? I don't think it's getting difficult. 5, 6, and 2 clicks. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll stop there. You can have a breather, okay? That's the first bit. Can you do that? If you can do that, we know your brain, your left side of your brain is being really, it's contributing to the thought process and your decision-making abilities. I've got another one here, a nice easy one. We're going to make a circle with one hand. And I want you to do this with me, okay? So whichever way it's going on your screen, copy it. And I want you to go the same way with the other hand, okay? Nice and easy. Now, your left side of your brain controls the right side of your body and vice versa, opposite ways. So actually, as we get older, it's really difficult for the right side and left side to communicate. So keep one going, and the other one's going to do a square. Yeah, nice. Backwards square. And you've still got a circle. If you can do this, you've got a very agile mind. Agile mind means you're able to help a company pivot. Let's try another one. I want you to make a circle that's going away from you. Both hands. Nice and simple. Okay, start at the top, go opposite ways. Oh yeah. All right, find that really difficult? Try and do it as a square. Much easier as a square. But this is all about making sure that your brain is agile, and an agile brain means that you're going to be really super flexible and therefore able to contribute to a company when it needs you the most, i.e. during a corona crisis. Okay, shake that off for a second. I've got another one for you now. I'm going to say the numbers 1 to 8. Now, there's a lot of accountants that are on this call, and there's a lot of apprentices that want to be accountants. Now, I totally get that. Good career, nice car, solid job. You know, you get to work with a lot of interesting people. You know, PwC, great company, and, you know, who can compete with them? But, you know, I would challenge that you guys, you think you know your numbers, but I want you to say the numbers 1 to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, you're all in your own rooms, so this doesn't matter. Nobody can hear you. Now I want you to rotate it. 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Quicker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice. You know your numbers 1 to 8. Do it backwards for me. So we're going to start on 8, and we're going to go back to 7. Then we're going to go back to 8. Are you ready? So it goes 8, 8, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you found that you went 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it wasn't quite right, you're falling into that trap of habits, okay? And habits are not a great thing for helping a company survive. You really need to be aware of who you are in the workplace as a person. You have a responsibility towards your team to bring more than just sitting at a desk, filling in emails, and contributing in meetings when you get asked to. We are all part of a company's culture. Now we've got, you know, we're only a small team. There's only 15 of us in this team at the moment. You know, the 15 that are partners and employees. Everybody else that we work with are subcontractors. But every one of those 15 people help us reach, on average, 6,000 people each week. Now, if you think about the return, we're reaching 6,000 people with 15 staff. Now, our aspiration is to be like Dolby. Dolby, they're a billion or $1.5 billion company with only 2,000 employees around the world. And how do they do this? They've got a great culture and they've got a really strong model. And this is what we want you guys to be, is super efficient, super flexible, and super adaptive. So I'm going to skip on now, just flip over. It'd be really interesting actually, because we found out the other day that 97% of people believe that playing a musical instrument or doing something creative helps with your mental health. Okay, so I'm thinking, you know, you've been in lockdown 15 weeks, just as long as we've been in lockdown. What have you done that's made a difference to help with your mental health? How have you cared for your mental health? This is your responsibility as well as the employees. So, you know, actually a little bit of a straw poll here, if Dan wants to put it into the chat. Number one, do you believe that playing a musical instrument helps with your mental health and helps with your creativity? So you can answer that in your Q&A. Number two, do you think being creative is that important in an apprenticeship? You know, we're thinking an engineering apprenticeship, a lawyer's apprenticeship, an accountant's apprenticeship. Is it that important? Or are you just going to be told how to, you know, answer questions, you know, how to fill in the box? And lastly, I want to know if there's any of you guys out there that do anything in the arts. You know, when you took your A-levels, when you took your GCSEs, did you just do the STEM subjects or were you encouraged? You know, so put in the group chat so that I can have a look for later. Now, one of the buzzwords that's going around with businesses at the moment, you know, and every business that I talk to is saying to me, were you able to pivot? And, you know, we're talking about, this is a word that we just we didn't use last year. And pivot basically means, how were you able to make your company survive in an altered business environment? What did you do to change? Now we talk about verticals. I don't know if some of you guys will probably do twin verticals, multiple verticals when you're doing your business studies. But basically, our business, Hot House Music, relied on face-to-face contact with 100% of its customers. So that meant when we were delivering music lessons around the world, whether it's delivering ensemble tuition around the world, or our record label, you know, how do you record a record label if you don't get them in the studio and they're not there with the engineer? And then also our international touring program. We're talking this year, we should have been in Tokyo for the Olympics, Singapore, Hong Kong, France, Disneyland, New York. All of these things relied 100% on face-to-face customer contact. In the space of 24 hours, we were able to, that all went. So my responsibility or my job as a CEO and your job as an employee is to go along with this and contribute and be supportive. I wrote something called the COVID Opportunity Plan. And I started out from the point of the view saying, how am I going to make my business survive? And to do that, I needed to decide what did I want it to look like at the end of the crisis. So, you know, what's the pathway? What's the map to get there? Then I also decided that, you know, one of the super important things is, you know, my employees, my staff, my customers, how do I want them to feel safe? How do I want them to feel secure? I want them to know that by doing stuff, by saying stuff like walking and talking, by communicating, then they're going to feel that we're going to be here at the end of the day. And so we managed to pivot by taking 60% of all of our business in the space of 48 hours online. So we managed to basically turn, you know, a couple of £1 million company into an online company in 48 hours using current technology. So, you know, I'm being really honest with you here, guys. I got my ass kicked when I was at the board meeting saying, why hadn't I done this before? Why has it taken a crisis to do this? How am I going to maximize this and take this to the next level? And so what I'm doing at the moment is I'm revising my phase 2/phase 3 expansion plan, which is going to go before the board for approval. So how we can include all these technologies. And actually, you know, we feel this has been great. I don't know about you guys, but not everybody's hated lockdown. We've really, really enjoyed, you know, seeing people feel safe in their own homes. You know, they've also felt like they can contribute equally on webinars and conference calls because everybody waits for them to say their thing. So we think this has been a good thing, and so much so we're now in conversations with the government and Innovate UK, you know, the people who do investment funding and research, R&D, research and development. And we're going to be putting together some work which combines virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and an awareness or research project on how these new technologies are actually helping the mental health. Because if you go around and you talk to your parents, they're all sort of, you shouldn't be on that computer all that time. You need to be outside. You know, oh, get off that PlayStation. What are you doing? I'm like, go speak to some people in real face-to-face. You know, our anecdotal evidence is that, you know, that's a little bit not quite right. You guys are doing just great living on an online world. So our job now is to prove that. So as a company, we're doing a big research project. And actually, if you think about in India, when there's, you know, 1 billion people, there can't possibly be enough classrooms for everybody to have a lesson. You know, all these universities that everybody else thinks they're going to, it's all going online, okay? So how are you going to do it? Everybody's going to whack on a headset and you're going to have a classroom of 200,000 people. One teacher, 10,000 AI teachers, artificial intelligence teachers. And this is the way of the future. And we want to be part of the vanguard of that. And that's one of the benefits of what's happened from having a creative workforce. So when you're as a person, you're thinking about your apprenticeships and your next role, you've got a responsibility to not just think about your job, but the character, your ethos, your ability to be adaptable, your ability to be flexible. What else are you bringing to the team? And hopefully then, once you've done that, you'll open yourself out to this. How can you have a portfolio career? How can you actually be in charge of what makes you happy? And then, you know, finally, perhaps the most important thing is, how can you actually affect the things in the world that you want to do? You know, you're not an accountant. You're making other people do their, you know, their livelihood better. You're helping them do something. That's not an accountant. You know, you don't want to get stuck into this mindset of I'm an accountant, I'm an engineer. You're doing more than that. You're changing something. You're affecting something. So hopefully this is going to be one of those things that you take out of this session. Now I've got some really nice things that I would take away. And, you know, to be honest, I've been doing this a long time and I'm really fortunate. I get to meet some super fancy people like the CEO of Lenovo, the chief sales officer for Microsoft. You know, I spend my life touring the world and meeting great guys. My record label, for example, the guy who's my sound engineer is the sound engineer for Kasabian. He's also just done Billie Eilish's new album. He does Lewis Capaldi. He runs the Vivo Live Sound. You know, some of my alumni, they're now playing the music for, you know, the latest James Bond theme. You know, they're doing all the recordings for the Incredibles 2 soundtrack. My job is a dream job, but I think it's there because of my personality and my approach to life. Okay, and I want you guys to have that kind of success. So what am I going to give you to take away? You know, these 3 things that I heard Dan talking about, and you know, there are so many good things that you can take away from your experiences. Some of the first ones that I learned were that there's always something good in everything that, you know, everything that happens. And I mean that in the most sincere way. During the COVID crisis, I lost 2 members of my family to COVID. I lost my uncle and I lost my auntie, different parts of the family, but it was a real shock and I didn't expect them coming. But actually there has been some massive bonuses to that because I've been able to really reach out and connect with some of my family around the world that I didn't even know existed. I was able to write music and give it to the other members of the family to say, you know, we all miss our uncle and auntie. And, you know, that's really helped them with their grieving process. So, you know, there is always something good in everything. And, you know, I think we've proven that with the ability to pivot as a company. We're now in a much stronger position and our IPO will be much higher because of what we've managed to do. Other things that I like to do, you know, when I do my 6th form speeches, I'm a keynote speaker, author. So I go around and help kids at 6th form about how to be aware of themselves. Number 1, people are like mirrors. The way that you look at them, you know, the way you treat them is the way that they'll come back to you. Get out of this mindset that you're younger and that they're the boss or that you're the employee. You are equal human beings in this world. And the way you treat them is going to be the way that you treat you back. And I've often found that if you treat somebody positively and with a bit of kindness, that's going to come back tenfold. And in your jobs, you're going to need somebody who fights for you. Because no matter wherever you go, somebody's not going to like you. So you need a nice group of people who are going to say, no, I'm standing up for, I want to help, I believe in them. And you can do that by respecting them and treating them as if they're mirrors. I also think that, you know, when you're doing meetings, if you're going back into the physical world and you're not online like we are now, you've got to be aware of your space. Okay, you've got to be aware of the dynamics of the space. So here's a really nice, easy takeaway for you guys. If you've got a meeting with your line manager and your line manager says, you know, sit down here, please, Dan, I'd like to have a quick chat with you. If you sit down exactly where he points to and you don't take any opportunity to move that space around, you're acceding the power of the room to that person. They're establishing their dominance over you by telling you to do something and you obeying it. So one of the great tips I learned from one of the musical orchestras that I was playing with at the time was, when you get told to sit down, you move your chair to where you want to sit. Obviously, I'm not saying move it to the fireplace or outside of the room. I really want you just to move it and then consciously think, I'm in charge of this space, I'm an equal, and I will bring something really good to this conversation. I'm not going to get talked at, I'm going to be a contributor. So I think that's a super valuable tip that I got when I was really, really young. Some of the things that we try and do with our apprentices, and actually we've got 1 space left for an apprentice in the company starting in September. So if anybody is interested in doing a chartered manager degree apprenticeship, we are interested in hearing from you. This is, you know, a business degree, but working in the music field, okay? If you're interested, drop me a line on LinkedIn and I'll send you the details to our Work With Us team. But we tell our apprentices, we don't expect you to be able to remember everything straight away. Write it down. It's a simple thing. Nobody's going to give you a hard time if you write it down. And the bonus is, if you write it down and they then forget or they get the wrong end of it, you can just say, oh, here we go. This is what I thought you meant. You've got evidence. Evidence is the key to a really successful partnership. Evidence gets you out of conflict. And conflict is something that we want to avoid in business at all times. So write it down. Last few things before I get Dan in here, because I'm sure he's got loads of Q&As for me to try and get through. Tone and respect. One of the guys in the last chat said that it's super important to have the right tone. Now, I'm trying really hard to give you the right tone on this, this webinar now, that I'm excited, I'm engaged, I want to be here, I respect the fact that you're here on the hottest day in the world, listening to me talk on, okay? I respect you. And that means I am asking for your respect back, okay? Just like the mirrors, give us something that's going to be coming back. That means you've got to not just do this with face-to-face comms, this is written comms as well. If you send an email and it's just like you've not thought about how it looks and it comes off sharp, not polite, big no-no in the business world, if you ask me, okay? You've got to earn that position where you can fire things off. And when you go into something, you know, whether it's you're asking for a pay rise or you're asking for more responsibility or you're asking for an opportunity to lead on a project, you've got to offer something. Don't just go in and say, can I do this? I want to do this. There's a mantra that is in business: offer 3 things, ask for 3 things. It's as simple as that. If you can think of 3 things that you can offer somebody, you know, customer, employer, they're more likely to give you the 3 things that you would like to do. Communication and respect will really equal a great career for whatever you guys decide to do. And then the last one, really, you know, habit. Forget about it. Get it out there. Be creative. Do something different. Go a different way. And in that case, make sure you take opportunity to rinse every situation. By rinsing, I mean networking and making the most of that rinse, okay? Rinse means, you know, if you've got an opportunity to go to from my perspective, go to a gig, we're not just doing a performance, we're selling merchandise, we're looking at the next A&R men who are going to be doing the record deals, you know, we're looking at Spotify to increase our playlists. We are rinsing a situation, and you can only do that if you're great at networking. So, you know, hook me up on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook for the old people, and Twitter. I do a lot of work on Twitter for my corporate work, and hopefully you guys will get to see you soon. So that's pretty much it for me, unless Dan's got some great questions.
Yeah, hi, John. So we've had, a good couple of 100 questions come in since you started. So we've got, I think I'm going to start with one which I think many people want to hear is, who are the biggest stars you've worked with in the industry?
Oh man, you could tell. So if I'm talking stars with you guys, you know, we're talking, you know, Billie Eilish, Lewis Capaldi. You know, I've done a lot of things with festivals, with Glastonbury, Jamiroquai. You know, I absolutely love Jamiroquai. For the old people in there, your parents that are in there, there's a couple of bands called the Union Gap, Gary Puckett. We're talking people who have sold literally 500 million records. So, you know, my opportunities, you know, partly because my family are all music based, is I can pretty much pick up the phone at any time and say, can I come and hang with you guys backstage? And example in case, you know, one of our great friends, one of the guys who we use as one of our subcontracted educators is a guy called John Woff. John Woff is an alumni of Leeds College of Music. That's how I met him, networking through the College of Music. And he's the sax player for the 1975. So I pretty much, you know, got a bit of an open invite to go and hang with John and go backstage, see the show whenever I want to. You know, in the 1975, they run 3 shows at the same time. They've got 12 trucks. They're setting up one, they're breaking down one, setting up another and delivering. And they go around the world like that. They are a great, great band, okay?
Okay, cool. So hopefully you guys know some of those artists there. Anyway, just more on like a personal note. So obviously you've come from a very musical family. Did you at some points ever feel being quite pressured into going into a career in music? And how did that sit with you?
Yeah, man. To be honest, I was the laziest person I've ever met. I mean, I look back at my life when I was a kid and I am ashamed about what I did. I had no drive, no passion. You know, a lot of the apprentices talk about you've got to be passionate. I had none of it. I was such a lazy ass. Honestly, it's so bad. I'm ashamed of it. And my mum and dad, they basically said, get in that music room. You're going to do half an hour's practice a day. And I walked into this career as working in music. Actually, what I wanted to do is I wanted to be a multimillionaire businessman. That's what I like. I love being creative. I love selling things. I love meeting. I love traveling. I really, really, really want that Aston Martin. You know, I really, 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 I mean, I've got a massive pool just out the back there, which is waiting for me when we finish this. I want to have things that I can share with my family and friends. You know, I care about having a legacy, making a difference, and then sharing that with my family. So actually, yes, I was pushed into it, but only because I was so lazy. You know, but my true character came out as I suddenly started to realize you only live once. You've only got one chance. You know, invest in yourself and believe in what you can do. So, you know, I would say now that out of, you know, a whole week, perhaps 2% of my time is spent doing music, and the other 98% of my time is doing business administration. You know, I'm talking to CEOs all around the world. I do a lot of C-level conversations. I'm working on delivering our phases expansion. So, you know, it's worked its way through. But yeah, definitely, I kind of walked into that one.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, John. So just thinking in the music industry as a whole, what other careers are there within the sector that potentially some students here who might be wanting to get into tech or wanting to get into accountancy, finance? What sort of other careers are there relating to music in the industry that you're in, other than being an artist itself?
Yeah, man, that's an amazing question. And, you know, that's probably one of the questions that our staff get the most across the whole country. We get a lot of parents, you know, coming up and talking to the staff saying, "Oh, I can't have a career in music. I don't want to, you know, it's not very safe. You know, if you're not going to be a musician, all you're going to be is a teacher." And, you know, to be honest, that's a load of tosh. Okay, because, you know, you look at our alumni list and this is going to evidence why you should do music. All of these people did music and had a hot house education. We've got the chief vibration engineer at Dyson. We've got the chief music technology, physics technology engineer at Beats Headphones. We've got music accountancy. We've got PPL, which is licensing. We've got patent law for licensing. We've got music law for managing artists and industry. We've got creativity in the sense of journalism. We've got writing copy for albums. We've got working on Spotify playlists. You know, the actual list of what you want to do in music is massive. Music and engineering, you're designing new tech for people to use. You're designing music and IT, you're writing new programs. There's a great new program out there called eMuso, and that's on LinkedIn. And, you know, you can, if you do a bit of a search for eMuso, you'll find this guy there called Jerry Kramsky, who literally, world famous guitarist, has written his own program to make sure that everybody else can get there as well. So music and IT, absolutely huge. Music and finance, music and accountancy, music and politics, the whole things go together. I've just been nominated for an award by government for services to education. Literally got that about 2 weeks ago. And, you know, part of my job is now to sit on advisory panels. In fact, I get paid to sit on advisory panels to offer my expertise. So even though music is like the thing that holds it all together, the umbrella, actually now, you know, my work is in all of the places. And I think that's what you guys can do as well. If you're apprentices and you want to do something a bit different, a bit challenging, you know, work in the creative sector, but bring your other skills with it.
All right, thanks, John. And I guess, what are your key tips? So what we're asking all the students to do at the end of every talk is 3 top tips when they're looking to enter into the world of work.
Okay, so taking inside that, networking is like the most important tip. Okay, so if you guys don't add me on LinkedIn and follow YouTube and, you know, add me on all the others, you're failing before you even start. Okay, that is the most important one. My top 3 in this order would be: treat people like the mirrors. Okay, treat them as you want to be treated. That is absolute gospel. You know, in whether it's on a phone or whether it's on a phone, you know, face to face. That's number 1. Number 2 would be look for the positive in absolutely everything. So you're going to get knocked back. You're going to get sacked. You know, in fact, you know, I've had some tough things that I've had to deal with today, but, you know, it's only made me better at what I do next time round. And number 3, work efficiently. Get into this duplication stuff. Don't do things over and over and over again. If it's the same flipping email or the same conversation, perfect it straight away, and then you can always draw that back off the shelf.
All right, thanks, John. And I guess just lastly, I know that probably many of you know that the James Bond film was supposed to be coming out at some point this year. Perhaps John wants to play. Do you mind putting a tune on the piano?
Piano? I mean, like, my job, you know, I started off playing one of these when I was like 4 years old. And then literally I got better and better. And then I did the saxophone and the trumpet and